today has been a lot about the vision, kind of the rationale behind this approach. Now some of the practices. And the reason why we've kind of designed a multi-step process is because you just need time to design. Because design is a whole different and way beyond the scope of what we can do today. So what I'm going to do in this last hour is kind of give you just examples, questions about, well, where will I find these resources online, all that kind of good stuff, and how we can learn from what other churches are doing. So remember, the bar is still pretty low, so the price of entry is pretty inexpensive. But today wasn't designed as a design day, but that is the next part of the process for those who want to move on. And those who don't, you have my email address. And I can show you some websites to do some design work. But the key is you have to have at least a 3-year time frame for this. Okay? So I always tell churches, and they kind of laugh at me, if you launched a network every 6 months over the next 3 years, for different age groups or whole family or for the intergenerational, think of what your parish would be like 3 years from now. Even if you did a network a year for 3 years, think about how much you would learn. If people benefited, that would be a side bonus. Think about all we would learn about our people, about what they need, about how to deliver things to them, how to connect them to faith formation. See, I think that's, for me, well, if you saw where I was 7 years ago at this process, way back in the stone age of digital faith formation, and where it is today, it's just night and day. I was sharing with Angela at the break before that, when I did the Generations of Faith project in the Diocese of Albany, really across the country, the question I always used to get was, how do we do monthly faith formation? And what do they do during the month in between? And well, they eat, they go to work, they do. Can you imagine if you had the digital platform in 2002? Now, you couldn't have, but pretend you did, of how you could have resourced people every week between gathered sessions like that. The possibilities, well, you have it now. We didn't even have the resources back then, so it wasn't even if you had the technologies, we would have said, where's the resources? None of that's a problem anymore. Okay, so this is the vision. So you saw this with families, youth. This is perfect for teenagers. I mean, but you have to let them help you design this or design it themselves because it won't feel youthy if adulties design it. Young adults, same principle. But talk about this approach to reach young adults who are so mobile that the best you're going to do is gather them very selectively around really engaging, unbelievable experiences. And how much can be done in small group, on your own, delivered by a digital network. This is the platform I use, but there's not the only one. Obviously, WordPress is the high-end design stuff. Wix and Squarespace are very much like Weebly. You can just go to each of them, and they're all about the same price. Like Weebly for a 1-year subscription for the pro version is about $100, $8 a month. 2 lattes at Starbucks. If you need a currency translator. But they're all drag and drop website builders. Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. WordPress is a little more sophisticated, which means you simply drag the formatting you want onto a page. And put audio and video and all that kind of stuff onto your site. Great tutorials on all these. You watch the tutorials, it teaches you how to do it, and when in doubt, have a 3rd grader next to you. In the design workshop in April, for those who are moving on, we're going to use Weebly and design around that. That's the platform we're going to use. So you have all these options for digitally enabled faith formation. So you can have a gathered program that uses online content. Everybody could do this. This is my example of put this in the hands of your catechist and say, we're going to Wi-Fi you, and here's some great content. And you select the content. You curate it. And say, here's stuff you could use with 3rd graders and 4th graders and 5th graders and interact with this. And let them create a video around this. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, the kids are already doing this in schools, by and large, or in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, or add to the examples. So it's not like this is foreign to the kids. It's the poor catechists we have to bring along. Gathered and online is just kind of like, how could you not do this? So now you have a digital platform to take Sunday worship and church year feasts and seasons and just take them a mile. I'll give you an example. Any event or programming can be extended digitally. Now, you don't have to go overboard, but if you just did the Sundays of Lent, if you just did the Lenten season as an experiment, too late this year, but do the Easter season. There's no competition at all. Nobody even knows it's the Easter season. Everyone's so exhausted, including the staff, by the time Lent is over, they forget it's Easter season. And it's actually 50 days, not 40. Take Advent. Just start a little bit early and go right through the Christmas season at the beginning of January. So do Advent Christmas season. So you can take any event or programming, All Saints, All Souls, just pick ones that have some pop. Okay? And you can develop. These are just kind of categories. Catholic Youth Bible had to study it, pray it, live it. You can develop your own categories. Well, and here's the template I use. It's not rocket science. And people say, wow, it's really great. So, well, gee, really? This is what's going on at church. I want these experiences at church to have legs into the home, because this is where the action is. This is a catalyst. This is the experience that sends me forth. So the question I'd ask, you can do this for all ages or for a target group. What do you want people to be able to do at home and in their daily life? Just keep asking that question. That's the curriculum in the middle. And then how will you help people? This is a Sunday I'm doing here. So how will you help people do those things? You'll do it from your online platform. It's the only way to deliver the content. So online, they're going to find content to help them live, learn, and practice this. Connected, 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 connected. Because you have a platform to be connected with. It will take a year for people to get into the groove of what you're doing. You'll have people you're later saying, yeah, I noticed that you're putting some stuff online after worship on Sunday. We've been doing it for 51 weeks. You finally discovered it. Well, but you could actually just promo this week online at the end of worship. Now, you figure out an adaptation of that if you can, okay? Put a big television monitor in the narthex or something, and let people, see the this week online or whatever. Don't put it in the bulletin. Don't bother, all right? Not that they don't read it, but websites just don't look very alive in a bulletin, all right? My point is, connect people from the gathered program to the on-site. Build a bridge when you have them with you. Everything can be QR coded. I'm not sure it's a verb, but it works. You know what the QR codes are, right? The little box of all those little doodads inside that you go, what is that and why is it bothering me? All right. QR codes you simply develop on your phone. You simply download a QR reader app, and then you simply scan, you click the app and you scan it, and it takes you to the destination. No, it will not take you to vacation in the Caribbean, all right? But it will take your phone there. So it takes you to this page on the website. You can develop QR codes for anything. So every page on the website can have its own QR code. Now remember, if you're doing a digital newsletter, like using Constant Contact or MailChimp or Flocknote, and you do a newsletter every week, this should be in the newsletter every week. I meet churches who don't want to communicate with people every week because they don't want to bother them. So you'll let Amazon send me 4 emails every day, but you don't want to bother me once a week? Really? You should be in their inbox every week and use email. Not only email, but all the studies of email, Constant Contact, MailChimp, that e-newsletter, it gets attention. And you have a closed system, meaning you're not marketing. Those people are already part of your community. So your open rate's going to be a lot higher than it would be in a marketing campaign. And then, of course, you can text people if you want, et cetera, but don't be afraid to communicate weekly. If you give them a bulletin in person, give them a digital version, but make it look a lot better with links and all that kind of good stuff. It's really amazing how much you can actually learn from analytics and statistics. Constant Contact, MailChimp, Flocknote, your website have all built-in analytics. With a real little bit of help, you can say, well, who opened it, who didn't, that kind of stuff. This is the template that you can follow. It's an easy one. And it changes. So here's an example of a 40-day Lent curriculum. It's the same thing. What's going on at church? Because that's the intergenerational curriculum. What do I want people to do at home? And then far right, what can I provide people to do that at home? You know how much Lenten content was generated this year? I must have gotten 12 devotionals in my email. It was like, well, I'll show you one page. Right? So here's my adult website, and this is my 40 Days of Lent page. So this is the Busted Halo famous Ash Wednesday and Lent in 2 minutes. Have you seen this? It's great. All right, it's YouTube, so it'll be too slow. They did a new one this year called Go Into the Desert This Lent. They're all about 2-3 minutes long. Catholic Relief Services. So here's number one. What I want you to notice about how I curate, I don't go to 100 sites. Who's got time? I go to my select group of sites. 20, 30, tops, depending on the content. Okay. This page I populated with like 5 or 6 stops. High trusted content from reputable organizations, great people presenting. I don't need to go much beyond that because I don't need the rest of the stuff. These 2 videos are from Busted Halo. So get ready. Then what is Lent? This year, CRS, as part of Operation Rice Bowl, this on the Catholic Relief Services website, had these people all come on. You know, they're pretty reputable. They all did little mini presentations on what is Lent. Why should I present any content when I could have these people do it? And then I wrote to the Pope, and he sent me his Lenten message. So you go to the Vatican website. You can download his Lenten message in PDF. And Weebly allows me to embed the actual document onto the website. Okay. And no, contrary to popular opinion, papal messages are not copyrighted. Quite the opposite. They want the word to get out. Now, I picked the papal message for this week. It's only 2 pages long. And he's got 3 big messages from Lent. It's really good. And you can understand it. Busted Halo did this wonderful thing. They do like a Lenten count, like an Advent calendar, but for Lent, and it's kind of a pop culture-ish. So you tune into, you pop on, and you can't go ahead either. Today's George Carlin. No, it's not the 7 words you can't say on television. So here's what he said. So their theme is fast, pray, give. And Carlin said, some people see things and ask, why? Some people dream of things that never were and ask, why not? And some people have to go to work and don't have time for all that. That's perfect, right? Something to fast from today, fast from planning or daydreaming. Give that time, given that some people won't even have a vacation this year. Pray for those who work more than one job and still struggle to survive. Give a pleasant greeting or thank you to everyone today, especially those workers who are invisible to others. They do that every day. Now, they're writing for 20 and 30-somethings. But isn't this a great way to approach those who are really kind of hesitant about Catholicism? This is just George Carlin as a door into Catholicism. If he hasn't flipped over in his grave yet, he probably has now. So I put that on there. And I put the link so you can just go to the this is not the calendar itself. You can go to the calendar here. And then I put 2 Lenten devotionals. This is from Luther Seminary. It's a free devotional. It's every day. It's wonderfully done, written by the seminary profs. And this one is iLent. I came across this. This is really fascinating. This was a project done by 30 pastors of different denominations in the Bay Area in San Francisco. And this is what it looks like. This is gorgeous. This is the website, iLent. Lent is a simple, free journey through the Bible during Lent that brings God's word into your daily life. Read, hear, do, respond. And it's a beautiful website design. Then they have today's reading, and then different practices. Isn't that beautiful? It's free. I mean, everything on this page, this is the amazing thing about this new world. Nothing cost you a penny on this page. I did the whole 40 days of Lent for free. And if I prorated my Weebly subscription, the whole website cost me $8 this month. $8. $8. High quality content, professionally done from trusted sites, credible, great stuff that I can make available to my people. That's my 40 days of Lent. I could add a lot more. I mean, I had to stop because I could have gone pages. But more is not always better. That's what the curator, editor does to make sure it's the right stuff. Is that making sense? So here's the good news. So you find some stuff. This is what curators do. You find some things, you say, this looks pretty good. And then you go to your cloud of curators around you, with all due reference to the book of Hebrews, letter to Hebrews. And you ask, what do you think about this? And all you do is send them an email with a link. I want to use this. And people in diocesan offices, people who curate like I do, you'll get a response back sometimes instantaneously. No, don't ever go there, okay? Or this looks really good. So here's how you manage. I have a lot more on curating, so I'm doing this just short answer. Here's how you manage it. Start with trusted sites at the center of Catholicism. Okay? Do what I just did. Busted Halo, yeah. The Vatican, not bad. Catholic Relief Services. Now, here's another one. The Bishops' Conference has a page for Lent. I'm going to guess it's probably pretty Catholic. You notice I don't have to go far. So over here, they've got more content. The Pope's Lenten message. Stay in that circle. If you need to go outside of it because you find something good, ask for review. But I don't have any of the content I put up there. Busted Halo, CRS, Bishops' Conference, the Pope's, I'm not worried about any of that content. If you're worried about it, ask. If it's kind of like at the edge, don't use it. There's too much other good content. So sometimes I'll find something, I say, I really like the design of this, but it's not really Catholic. Then I go looking for something that's Catholic that has that same kind of sensibility. There's just too much content to use something that's not good. Look at the beautiful sites CRS put up this year. This is stunning. They did the same thing for Advent. It's beautiful. This is part of the rich resources that surround us. You don't ever have to worry about content. It's all around you. Flipping the classroom. I love this strategy. Try this on a small scale before you infect the whole parish. Just try one program. So if confirmation's giving you the fits, try that. If the middle school program is driving you nuts, try that. In other words, small scale, and then you could branch out. So my big three examples are this. Flip children's programming, flip confirmation, or here's an example of flipping, which is kind of a natural. Developing service opportunities for the parish or for adults. Let them learn about the issue online, and then gather with people who want to go out and do service. So they kind of get this Catholic social teaching and biblical teaching, analysis of the issue, and the actual service is face-to-face, obviously. So you've kind of flipped it. It's impossible to get people out for an educational program before they go out and do an action project. Doing the action project is not a problem. It's just the educational part, so do it online. This is St. Edward the Confessor Church in Dana Point, California. It's as beautiful as it sounds. The church looks out on the Pacific Ocean. It's about 5,000 households and still growing. It's enormous, enormous. Their confirmation program was about 500 9th and 10th graders. They had a traditional confirmation program. Every Sunday night, the kids came. Can you imagine? Here comes everybody. They went off into groups and classes and the rest. Can you imagine oh my goodness, they have to rent the convention center out. So they got tired of doing what? Managing bodies, enforcing policies. They said that the kids just aren't learning. So they flipped the classroom. It's something really interesting, is that they went to this model. They built a website for confirmation. This is an example. This is a page from the website. And they went to this model. 3 weeks of self-study and small groups, once a month gathered, 9th grade, 10th grade, and parents. Service projects, retreats, all still gathered all through the year. After the first year of doing this model, they're finishing their third year. They're running 95% attendance every month. This is California, Orange County, where you have other options for Sunday night. It's not like, the middle of Montana. Dana Point, California. St. Edward the Confessor, Dana Point. It will come right up. Their website's stunning. They have their own app, and it's amazing. But they flipped the classroom. Why was this possible? Because organizations like St. Mary's Press built an online resource center with free digital content. What St. Mary's Press did is they went to all those books, they split the bindings out. It was all digital to begin with, so I'm just making the analogy. And they put all those individual activity. There's 14 website pages of just spiritual life content. Looks like that. Plenty of digital content, lots of video as well as print. This is the Diocese of Wheeling, Charleston, West Virginia. Yes, there's a diocese in West Virginia. Okay. Now, I wouldn't call it the avant-garde innovation center of the Catholic Church in the United States, but it is. The bishop went out and got some grant money. He hired the video group Outside the Box from outside Chicago, Catholic videos. They do all kinds of, some of them are kind of really off the wall, but they are doing a 4-year video curriculum based on the catechism. They finished Creed 2 years ago. They finished Sacraments a year ago. They're filming the morality ones right now. And by next spring, they'll have finished prayer. So if you wanted to flip the classroom, guess what? They put them on YouTube. Yeah. But go to their website because that's where they put the study guides and it's organized. Yeah. The name of the website is vcat.org. VCAT, Video Catechism, VCAT, right here, VCAT.org. I came across Godcast, but of course, if you're Jewish, you take the O out. That's why it's G Press Cast. About a half dozen years ago, and I heard this story this past year, and it was just a great story. A woman who had been working in the dot-com era, digital world, that whole thing, Jewish, wanted to learn more about her Judaism and couldn't find anything available online for people her age in their 20s and 30s. So she decided, as you could only decide if you're in 20s or 30s, to start something, to do it. Okay. So she wrote to these Jewish rabbis all around the country and saying, this is what I want to do. I want to do videos, animated videos of the Pentateuch, the Torah, and the portions each week for Sabbath service. Well, they're up to, hundreds of these 4 to 5 minute videos. They've done some feature ones. They've done the Book of Ruth in 8 minutes of wonderful animated video. It tells the whole story with a song. They had a contest. They invited artists to interpret the Psalms And out of that, they selected 4 or 5 that were going to produce as videos. They're just remarkable. This site is just worth just spending some time on. This site gives me Old Testament Hebrew scripture videos, which are really rare. They're very hard to find. Besides Charlton Heston parting the Red Sea. But I mean 4 or 5 minute, not 2-hour ones, 4 to 5 minute ones that take scripture passages, take actual passages and animate them. It's remarkable what they've done. They're all free. They're all free. The study guides cost like $5, which are worth buying, by the way, if you use them educationally. But the videos are all free. There's a lot of the Old Testament Hebrew scriptures that our folks have no clue about. And most people have never even read the book of Ruth. And it's just this wonderful, wonderful story. And they animated it, which only gets you to do what? I got to read that book. And it's not like you're going to spend 3 days reading it. It's very short. I want to see what they do with the prophets when they get there. That ought to be really interesting. So they've done, I don't know if they've done much with the book of Numbers, by the way, because they don't usually use calculus and algebra videos. So you saw my parent webinar. You saw online learning resources, online Bible study. The possibilities are endless. They're just endless. And it costs you nothing. You could offer people a variety of opportunities. What does it cost you? 0. Because you're using existing programming. And the nice thing about adult learning, another nice thing is adults have money. So they could take a $25 adult education course. Parents with kids, they have nothing, let alone $25. This is a Google Plus Hangout. This is free from Google. Have you noticed today is not costing you much money at all? Technologies are almost all free. The website will cost you $8 a month. Start saving your money now. Most of the content is free. To think that we can do this scale of programming and not have to pay much for resources is quite amazing. Small church, big church, no money, lots of money, doesn't make any difference anymore. It just doesn't make a difference. So people are using Google Plus Hangouts for courses and small groups and workshops and one-on-one. Imagine doing spiritual direction or mentoring one-on-one in a video chat room. Or having a small group that meets physically on week 1, goes online for 2 weeks, meets physically for 4, goes online for 2 more, and meets for the last session. See, you can now vary the programming because it allows you to connect with people in different ways. And you can record everything automatically. So here's an example. This is the Ghetto Film School in South Bronx. And this is how they use it with their students. This should play fine because it's on my website.
My name's Stosh Mintek, and I'm the executive producer at Ghetto Film School in the South Bronx. One of the things I do here is oversee the Ghetto Film School Masterclass, a discussion between a great director and young filmmakers from around the world using Google Plus Hangouts.
What do you want to get across in this story?
I think I'm going to try to really evoke some passion.
Hosting a class on Google Plus is easy. All you need is a computer, a decent internet connection, and a webcam. Once you've selected the students, create a circle on Google Plus for the participants. You can use that circle to send instructions, updates, or assignments just to them. On the designated day and time, invite your circle to participate in a Hangout, and you can start your class.
What I loved most was that you owned it. You knew it. It was something that you seemed passionate about.
To allow people around the world to tune in and watch the class, click the on-air button before the Hangout starts. This enables you to stream it on your Google Plus page, on YouTube, or on your website. One thing we found helpful is scheduling a practice Hangout at some point before going live. This helps identify any potential issues. The students also get a chance to meet one another, as well as the class moderator.
Can you take a step back so we could see you better?
A moderator will help the class run really smoothly. She can also monitor posts from your stream for questions and comments from the audience viewing the Hangout on Google+.
How did you make the transition between being a production designer into becoming a director?
That's a good question. Okay, so I was a production designer and everybody
When the Hangout
thinks
concludes,
that's
we use our YouTube channel to distribute the master classes themselves. So if anyone missed the class, they can tune in and watch the Hangouts.
If you want to direct, you just got to direct.
I think the hardest part is trying to make someone else see what you have in mind.
That's how I do my web parent webinar. No technology cost. I can record it. I can broadcast it all at the same time. It's pretty cool. Did I mention this was doable? You don't need to know how to do this. You need to know it's possible because someone in your parish uses this at work, uses this with their group, their club, their organization, uses it with their kids, their grandkids who live across the country. People know how to use this because it's out there, because it's Google. You just have to know this exists. Once you know it exists and it's possible, you can find people. So I think you can move even beyond attendance to actual performance and demonstration, which is even better. Remember though, see here's the other side. So you've got a high school kid who's really super engaged in the rest, and he or she is on track for MIT in engineering, full scholarship. The last thing they're worried about is coming to a confirmation class. Now I have a way to say, let's just personalize this. What if the two of us meet for a cup of coffee every week? You read this, you do stuff online whenever it's free for you. You know, they're doing all the AP courses. Maybe they're taking a physics or something class at SUNY or something like that. And you know, like, they're in the stratosphere. Why shouldn't I be able to personalize and customize and not worry about attendance? Because we're not really worried about. In the old one, attendance was the only metric you had. Because you didn't measure learning. You didn't measure learning. Yeah, you did the NCEA test, but you know, golly, so what? You know, this is really measuring learning. So I'll say to her, look, you're going to get into MIT. You're going to get a full scholarship. The last thing you're worried about is confirmation. What if we just met, checked in every week? You could read the stuff, do it online, the rest. Whatever you need, I'm there for you. You know how much more she's going to learn because of what I've just done. The other thing is, here's the people you haven't tapped. The Catholic Church is in the midst of a baby boomer tsunami. And you haven't asked them to do a damn thing. No, do not ask a 65-year-old to teach third grade. Been there, done that. They're never going to go back. Ask them to mentor a high school kid who wants to go deeper in their faith, or a small group of high school kids who want to do that online course from Boston College. It's a whole different answer. Ask them to walk with a young family from baptism to First Eucharist using your wonderful online resource center. Oh yeah. You've got untapped resources in the parish. You don't even see them because you've been looking for a third grade catechist. Now start looking for people who are mentors, guides, people who access resources run a small group, do it in all kinds of places, who will never even set foot in church perhaps. You've got all kinds of assets, but you just haven't seen them. You know, it's like that. I don't know if you ever watched that video. It's a visual images video, and this group of college-age kids are tossing a ball around in a group, and right through the middle of them walks a guy in a gorilla suit. 90% of the people never see the guy walk through with the gorilla suit because they're so fixated on the game that's being played. That's like us in our parish. We don't even see these folks. We haven't asked anything of the baby boomer generation today to be generative, to commit themselves to the next generation of Christians and Catholics. Haven't asked anything. I don't know any church that's really asked them. And you should. Just don't ask them to teach third grade CCD. You're not going to do that. You shouldn't be doing third grade CCD anyway. You should be doing third grade something else. But my point is, We have resources and assets, we just haven't seen them. I can personalize confirmation in this model with no problem at all because I've got people. I just have to ask them to do something different. They're not going to run a youth group meeting. They're not going to teach, I don't need them to. So tell me what's a takeaway from today? Just a one sentence, a one word, an insight. What's a takeaway from today? What hit you, struck you? I'm thinking about this. I might do this. What's a takeaway? Not all at once. Possibilities. Okay, not a church website, an accessible website. Use the culture. Liberating. Yeah, call the kids into leadership. Collaborate. Reach out. The whole missional piece. Curate. We're going to become curators. We actually are already. We're just going to expand it. Keeping people involved throughout life. Takeaways. Respecting where they are. Build it around the people. Lots of opportunities for creativity. Faith formation should be challenging. Participating should be easy. We make participating easy, and we make participating hard, and the gospel or faith formation too easy. So here's where we can go for some more resources. Here's a good example. This is called Vibrant Faith at Home. Comes from the colleagues I work with at Vibrant Faith Ministries. 600 faith-forming activities for adults, young adults, families, teens, all free. This is the Lifelong Faith site. If you go to the Initiatives, Albany Project, there's the PowerPoints, but I listed a lot of these videos in here, a lot of these websites to look at, okay? And they'll take you to places around there. In the handout, I put some other websites as well. So just as an example, this will be one of my, you talk about, curated sites. With 600 activities, I can draw all kinds of content from here. So an example, with my families, I did the seasons of the year. Every one of the activities here is from Vibrant Faith at Home. I went to one spot and got the whole page of activities. So I did January service of Martin Luther King. I did Lent and 40 days, the real St. Patrick, and then New Life and Easter eggs. All four of those activities, just one activity a month. Family's not going to do more than that. Maybe two if you're stretching it. All the content came from one website. This is the website that I'm building. And this will take shape and form over the next couple of months. But it's a bookmarked website for curating. In other words, each of these links here are going to be places you can go to get content, but organized by topics. This is the Feast and Seasons page. So, for example, if you went to the text this week, if you remember the text this week, this is one of the first people who curated worship resources. She aggregates all these resources. Every one of these blue underlines is a resource link. I mean, the work that she does for people is just remarkable. So this is just Lent. So you make one stop here. She's already curated them, and you pick the ones you like best out of that. So online, I put all this content and the rest, so you have access to the PowerPoints with all the pieces to it. And then there's the curating site. These are the two Holy Trinity sites where I'm pastor. And this is the site. This is going to get updated in the next several months, but this is the 21st Century website. Part of what my goal is to kind of surround you with a support system to allow you to make this happen, because it can happen. And if you go to the 21st Century website and just scroll over to design, I'm going to change this. It'll be called case studies. But faith formation websites, and just scroll down, These are churches that have participated in training programs have done. They went home and developed a website. Okay, and they range from very good to really. Okay, so yeah, you got the whole gamut, right? So they're all working at it. But First Church Simsbury is right here. So that example of Cindy's website, First Church Simsbury is right there. So you'll be able to access it. Jeannie and I want to make a transition from workshop to talking about the project. So come on down.
Okay. I was in the back, and my sentence would have been, I feel so filled with hope. I feel excited. I feel energized. And I feel there's a huge community here of catechetical youth ministry leaders, parish folk, pastors, deacons, parish life directors. What a community here. I know something special is going to happen. And I know we're going to feed off one another. We're going to energize one another. And we're going to learn to bring faith formation into this century. So to kind of take the next step, John Roberto has been working with our staff really since last summer. One of the homework assignments he gave us is that he wants us to help you by curating some of the websites, some of the topics, so that we can help you do some of that. To take the next step, we are inviting parishes who are willing to and interested in being mentored by John and to make a commitment to go to 2 more trainings. One is April 25th and the other is June 17th. That has been out. I've really talked to you about it before. You've read about it. You've probably heard me talk about it. And there are people that have already made a commitment to do that. But we wanted to make sure that people here, who maybe were hearing it for the first time, or maybe weren't sure of it, but now you have it like a better kind of understanding and you're kind of turned on and you want to be part of this, that you could do that too. I'm going to let John talk to you a little bit about that, but I did in your packet give you an application. So we do ask you to kind of sign on, but we realize that people might be very interested, but you have a conflict with those dates. And so we're going to repeat those 2 training sessions in the fall. So don't feel like you're left out. A couple of people who signed on early, life happens and they have now moved to the fall. But there's people here that maybe feel that they can. They've kind of looked around and they started to talk to people. We want certainly you to have that opportunity. Bishop Scharfenberger has been a part of this, and he was very, very strong that he wanted to make sure that even people who could not come to this workshop would be able to kind of join this by seeing this online or looking at the webinar. So there's a possibility that people who are not here today would be able to kind of catch up, and they might be part of this too. After John explains that a little bit to you, I'm going to talk a little bit about the capital campaign and how, for those of you who might need some help with technology or something else, you might consider putting in a grant application. And for John Roberto, what can I say? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.